You can go ahead. You don't have to stop talking. We're good. She might want those for her round here. Hi, Chad.
Hi, can you still hear me?
Aaron, I think we ought to be able to see the meeting room.
That Karen, you just got muted. Louis, that is a future enhancement we are working on. Karen, the sound is muted on that computer. Oh, purposefully?
if there are 40 people in attendance at the Gateway, this makes it one of our larger meetings.
That's exciting that we can accommodate more people. Let's see. Karen, did you ring the bell? Oh, can you unmute that computer just so I can hear? Okay, you did ring the bell?
Yes.
All right, exciting. The bell was rung. We didn't hear it if we're on Zoom, but I know that you in the gateway. No, yeah, ring it again. Let's just ring it again. There we go. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, and welcome to our first Gateway hybrid meeting, Rotary Club of Ames meeting, April 12th, 2021. So this is exciting, and I think it's going to work. Thank you, Karen, for all of your hard work. Thank you, Gateway team and staff, for helping to set this up as well. We'll start off, if we would, by standing and reciting our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Awesome. And I am not aware of anyone in our club who at this time needs a special thought or a prayer their way. They're going through something difficult. If there's someone in person at Gateway that knows of someone, please let us know. Raise your hand. Anyone online, please unmute. Going once, going twice. Let's,
Wait,
He's not a Rotarian, but Bob Kelly, who was a former teacher and fantastic photographer, passed away in his sleep about a week ago.
Bob Kelly.
Bob Kelly. Okay. Sorry to hear that. And let's just all pray that we continue to emerge from this pandemic safely and at appropriate speed for everyone involved. Thank you again for us being able to to do this hybrid meeting. Let's just take a moment, everyone. All right. So here we go. We just before we jump into this, let me tell you what's going on here. I had every intention of being live and in person at Gateway, but due to some decisions regarding safety protocols, I decided it would be better for me to be home today doing this. So that's why I am virtual. We have 42 people online. Karen, hopefully the 30 or so that signed up looks like a pretty good crowd there, which, as Louis observed, would make this one of our largest meetings yet. And so that's great that we can accommodate multiple people. I believe today, as we welcome our guests, I know we have, let's see, District Governor Steve Dakin is with us today. And also Cody Dobbins, I know you are with us today, and Andrew Schroeder. So welcome to both of you as you join us as our guests today. And we will welcome you with our song. Andrew, I think this is going to work for you to unmute and sing it through the computer to the crowd.
All right, welcome everyone. Welcome to you from Ames Rotary, Nevada, London, or Gay Paris, from far off lands or the USA. We're glad that you are here today. Come back again whenever you're near. Join us and then we'll make it clear. Around the world you will always be welcome at Rotary.
Great, thank you. This is our second Monday of April, I believe. So we did miss our birthdays on our first Monday. So there on your screen are some Rotarians celebrating a birthday for the month of April. And do we have someone in person whose birthday might be today, Karen?
I don't see Ken. Ken
Okay.
Jansen, not here.
All right.
He partied too hard.
Yeah. Well, we were going to have special birthday song for Ken Jansen, so we'll save it. But happy birthday to all of you on the slide there. Happy birthday in April. In addition to the April birthdays, we have April anniversaries. What a great month to get married in, just like every month is. So happy anniversary, Rotarians there. Looks like 6 of us. And look at this. Thank you for being a member. And Vince is there today,
Vince.
right?
Vince,
Happy
yes.
anniversary, Vince. 54 years. Clap for Vince. That's awesome. And look at these other ones. Merlin at 37 and Ann Campbell 32, Mary Wells 32, Donna 32. And I think it's just as important to recognize Melissa Rowan at 3 years if she's with us, and Dick Bruner at 2, and Hans Halber for 2 years as well. So welcome and happy anniversary to all of you.
I think that's it.
The only other announcement that I had is just the reminder that we do have, again, the district conference is coming up April 24th. I know the last week there were a few spots available for the in-person limited attendance at the Ankeny Marriott, limited to 140 in person, but there is a virtual option, and you can sign up on the District 6000 website. So if you have not yet and you're interested, even if you can take part only in part of that virtually, that would be great. So just a reminder that that's there. Let's see. Jeff Johnson, you might have to speak so that you're the speaker view, so you can see a big shot of Jeff Johnson. He's apologizing that he has an unshaven face. He must shave with a shoulder that he had rotator cuff surgery on, and that's being a little bit more difficult. So looks good. Looks good. Only a little bit of gray in there. So yeah, that's not bad. And before we introduce our speaker today, I understand that our District Governor Steve Dakin would like to say a few words as well. So, Steve, you might have to step up to the podium and share your words from there.
Yeah.
Look into the camera. Okay. Thanks, Chad. It's great to see a lot of familiar faces. This is really fun to get back together. Hybrids are just going to be the thing in the future. So we have to get used to it and embrace it and make it better, like good Rotarians always do. This weekend, Ride for End Polio. Hopefully you have some project. Maybe you've completed it. Some have. Chad, April 24th, the district conference down in Ankeny. Don't forget, whatever club raises the most money for polio gets to give me a pie in the face. So, and I'm not telling you who's ahead right now. We're going to be doing RILA again this year. We're excited about it. It's going to be at Cole College, actually be in person. They can handle us in person. We got a lot out, but we're excited about getting back in person with RILA. So I'm excited about that. We're going to be need Rotarians, so please consider that. I have gone many times. I'm going again. You will get more out of it than you give. And Park can back me up on that. He's my dance partner there at RILA. The good thing about Park is he lets me lead. So thank you all.
Thank you, Steve. I believe that we have Jenny Legates is actually going to join us at the podium. She happens to be live and in person, and she set up our program for today. So she's going to introduce our program and speaker for the day.
Thank you, Chad. Our speaker today is Rick Sanders. Rick was named president of the Iowa State University Research Park in May of 2019 after a nationwide search. He is responsible for all aspects of the development and operation of the ISU Research Park that today includes 400 acres. I just almost expanded it. 800,000 square feet of finished commercial, research, and lab space, hosts more than 90 companies from startups to Fortune 500 companies, and is home to more than 2,000 employees. Sanders, who is recognized as an outside-the-box thinker, has an extensive professional background that includes stints in local government, association management, business, and higher education. Rick and his wife, Callie, have lived in Ames for almost 20 years after stops in Alabama, Montana, and Maine. Dr. Callie Sanders is Senior Associate Athletics Director at ISU. They are the proud parents of 3 adult children, Tyson, ISU 13, Jack, ISU 17, and Molly, U.S. Naval Academy 19. Sanders served on numerous local boards and national committees, including the Story County Emergency Management Commission, Central Iowa Workforce Development Board, Ames Economic Development Commission, Story County Board of Health, Aging Resources of Central Iowa, the Lincoln Way Red Cross, Story County Crime Stoppers, United Way of Story County, and Story Theater Company. Sanders is a graduate of the University of Alabama at Birmingham, where he served as student assistant basketball coach to legendary coach Gene Bartow and his UAB Blazers. Help me welcome Rick Sanders.
I don't know why it's not. Hi. Okay, there we go. And PowerPoint
Yeah.
right up. Okay, we can do that. I would do that right There. Share. Okay. Sorry, you guys, you're the guinea pigs in all of this. There you go.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm so excited to be here live and in person and virtual. For those that aren't here, we do have, it looks to me to be about room at any given time, and so really exciting that we get a chance to do this. And I'm happy to be kind of your first hybrid speaker since we entered into this new world. So for me, it's hard to believe it's been almost 2 years since I last spoke to you. So soon after I assumed the position of president of the research park, I came here and presented to Rotary. I actually brought Allison Doyle with me at that point in time, simply because I had a feel for how much I really did not research park, and still true today, but I think I know enough to at least be able to bluff myself through after a couple of years. It is an exciting time to be here in Ames, Iowa, part of Iowa State University and part of the research park as we go through this true transition in the way the world operates, right? You know, we didn't ask for this. It was kind of thrust upon us, but it also has created an unbelievable opportunity for us to figure out what the next few decades. And we spend a lot of time dealing with that every single day. To start, it's important to remember why the research park exists, why Warren Madden and several other wise gentlemen, many of whom were members of this Rotary group back in the mid 80s, 87, they finally formed the ISU Research Park. And there was only one reason to form it. It was to support Iowa State University in its pursuit of its mission. Yeah, sure. Which is to create, share, and apply knowledge to make Iowa and the world a better place. The only reason the research park is there is to help Iowa State fulfill that mission. And we do that by trying really hard to be a place where innovators can flourish. And when you think about innovators, most of the time you're thinking about disruptors, people who find a better way to build a mousetrap, or a different way of thinking, or a different to any kind of situation. And we need them completely focused in on whatever that issue is. We don't need them focused in on office space, and we don't need them focused in on who to set a meeting with at Iowa State University to be able to get details. We need to provide all that for them. And the research park traditionally has been outstanding at doing just that. We're much larger, so we call Ames home. I'm a proud member of the Ames Economic Development Commission, and really interested in all things Ames. But the ISU Research Park is bigger than that. We are supposed to have full impact on all of Iowa. And so pre-COVID, at any given time, we would have about 2,500 people working out at the research park. Now that dropped to a low, somewhere close to 100, kind of at the peak of this. And now we're back probably to about 60%. We're somewhere in the 1,600 range that come out to the park every day, single day. But even more importantly than that, the companies that work with us at the research park have an additional 6,000 employees scattered throughout the state of Iowa, and having a strong economic impact on the entire state of Iowa. So our statewide impact is shown here on this map. I actually have a challenge to my staff that we want to see a gold dot in every single Iowa county, and we're working hard to get there. Some counties are a little easier than others, what kind of impact we can have, but we take our role really seriously as being a disseminator of knowledge and information from Ames to the rest of the state. When we work with our companies, we really work with them in 3 areas. And most of the time, a company will come to us in one of these 3 bubbles that you see on the Venn diagram. Here recently, it's been access to talent. You know, 8,000, just over 8,000 students graduate from Iowa State University every year. Great talent-rich resource. John Deere is one of the great examples that we have in the park of working with students. They tend to make contact with them late in their freshman year or early in their sophomore year. At any given time, they'll have somewhere around 50 student workers from Iowa State working at one of the 2 John Deere facilities at the research park. And in the last 2 years, they've had 30 of those young people graduate from Iowa State University. Deere offered all 30 of them full-time employment with John Deere, and 28 of the 30 took full-time employment with John Deere. The two that didn't, one went to the Peace Corps for a couple years, and the other one was interested in going to graduate school. You can't have stickiness like that in other situations. It's important that you see them daily, you build the relationship with the young people, and encourage them to stay with you all the way through. The other two areas are specialized equipment and service people lose sight of. Here at Iowa State University, we have both the Department of Energy, Ames Lab, and then just over off Dayton Road, we have the USDA facility. If you draw a circle from where we're sitting today, we'll call it a 50-mile circle. There's nowhere in the world that has the kind of resources aggregated in one spot and the expertise and the knowledge in one spot, especially when it comes to precision and digital ag. So it was truly a startup-centric idea when the research park started. It was truly intended to be a place where some of these phenomenal ideas that were being developed on campus had a place to go to see if they could become full-fledged business entities. That grew through the years to where we would really start reaching out to Iowa-based companies. We needed to have a little more of a presence with Iowa State University. And then largely through acquisitions, we started to see some larger companies come in and acquire some of the startups that we had developed here at the ISU Research Park. At first, when these large companies would acquire a new company from the research park, they would suck them to wherever that company was located, generally on the coast. But about 10 years ago, that started to shift. Yep. 10 years ago, that started to shift, and a company would get acquired. Harris Vaccine is a good example, got acquired by Merck, and they would stay here. And not only stay here, but grow their presence here. Our primary market should come as no surprise to anybody. What we're good at is what Iowa State University is good at and what Iowa State University is known for. And we focus in really, really strongly on our primary markets, but we try to maintain a presence for any innovator idea is. So I can go back. So I'd mentioned the liquidity events. This slide is not comprehensive by any means, but you can see how some of our startups were acquired by larger and larger companies. So I mentioned early, when Warren had, Warren, I'm giving you full credit for the idea. When Warren had the idea to start the research park, and I'm not sure it was, but Warren was sure in the room, it was literally a cornfield that they were talking about doing this in. And up to that point in time, and frankly, even since that time, every research park has been developed in an urban area. And primarily it was developed because there was a large scale industry that was already located there that had a relationship with the university or universities. And then they would build this relationship and this park to draw other entities of that. Well, we didn't have that. We had a cornfield. And the decision was made that we would get started. And in 1989, we opened Building 1, which is still, by the way, I love the way we named our, really creative, right? Building 1, Building 2, Building 3. But Building 1 is still in operation. In fact, we're in lease negotiations right now for a fairly large tenant to come in and take about half of Building 1. But it was all started in a cornfield. A little about this. We try to be really proactive in dealing with our innovators. We truly believe it's our job to make sure that we're anticipating what any given company will need in order to be able to spend their time focusing on whatever innovation they're working on. And these are the areas that we typically plug them into. I also mentioned the reality that Ames is such a special place in so many ways. But when you think of the Ames, the CE Center, and the full USDA right here, there's nowhere else that can compete with that. So when I took over 2 years ago, the research park was in really, really strong position. Had grown pretty quickly over the previous 10 years, but we had gotten to a spot where we were being reactive more than proactive, and we tried to switch that. The research park was all very involved, but did not have real defined, intentional relationships with different entities. We started, Dan Colhane and the job he and his team does with the Economic Development Commission. We started off there and formed a strong contractual partnership with them just to serve back and forth, and the chamber. And then we have gotten really, really intentional about partnering with different colleges and entities within the ISU system. Being we're trying to get really, really intentional and are having some success in breaking through kind of the behemoth that can be the bureaucracy at Iowa State University. We're trying to move at the speed of industry, and the university moves at the speed of higher education, and those two are not anywhere close together. And we try to find a way to bridge the gap between those. And so we have, as you I'm sure would expect, we've moved away from the paper trail, 27 file cabinets full of information, and we've moved to more technology for tracking what we do and how we do it. So I mentioned our innovation offices. I mentioned John Deere already once, but I'm going to mention them again because of something that they do. So John Deere has 7 innovation offices located associated with universities around the world. But what we're really proud of is every time they go to establish a new relationship somewhere else, and they talk about the Iowa State way of providing these innovation offices. We are really, really proud that a company like John Deere sees real value in how we are proactive and how we try to integrate them into the entire system. And it doesn't hurt when you have a researcher like Matt Darr available as well. So the passive engagement. So we try to get companies involved in as many of these lines possibly can in as many of these individual places that we can. We don't spend as much time on philanthropy. That's more of the foundation's role, but we make sure that all our companies are aware that it exists. I've mentioned that talent has been one of the primary places that we have been plugging in our companies. But if we're doing our job well, we're finding other places for companies to break in. And the companies that are most successful here at the Research Park are the ones that these resources kind of in every line. So a timeline, since I stood before you 2 years ago to now, we opened the John Deere sprayer facility, which has been, it has been really gratifying. Many days that there were 3 of us working at the Research Park, over the last year or so, to look out and see those sprayers as they work on autonomous sprayer technology and AI for determining exactly what to give a plant right time and in exactly the right amount for the environment and everything else, to watch them moving about our property. I believe the conversation is going to come back, what I affectionately refer to as the Pollard and Light District. I don't think it's dead. I think we just took a break from that, but it's been a lot of fun to be part of those conversations and imagine what could be. Cirrus was really, really busy with their new advanced manufacturing in the park. It has pretty much mothballed since then, but we're starting to see them open back up. And then just in the last few months, we have seen some really, really solid activity with new tenants coming to the park and taking substantial space. We're in negotiations with a couple more large scale tenants. We've added tenants, a substantial number of tenants over the last 3 months. And we've had tenants within the park who now are expanding, both and their manpower. Here in Ames, Pivot Bio is the one I'll single out. It's a great story of a company. It's a Silicon Valley based company, but they developed a way to have microbes who put nitrogen in the soil, which is pretty environmentally sound. Well, so Pivot Bio had set a plan to grow 3 times each of the last 3 years. And this year, even with that plan, they still sold out a product. When we initially, there were three employees that they were talking about locating either here in Ames or in St. Louis, and we competed successfully and brought them here just over a year ago. And in the next month, we'll have somewhere close to 40 Pivot Bio employees here in Ames as they continue to do the great work they're working on. Next for us, so one of the things we're missing in the park, we've got great office space, we've got lab space, but as Warren will attest to readily, we're missing some of the high bay, crank the wrench, go out and test it in the field space, right? That's what John Deere built in the sprayer facility. That's what Vermeer built in their facility. We don't own any facilities like that in the research park. Well, we own the Vermeer building, but it's Vermeer's building. John Deere owns their building. We would like to have a space that is some high bay with office, with share, where we can bring all the things we do at the research park to these companies like Grosswind Technologies, which spun out of the startup factory in the research park, like Smart Ag, which spun out of the startup factory in the research park and has since been acquired by Raven. We would like to have a space where those companies can go ahead and go through their whole line of growth here at the research park. And this building is one of those possibilities. And here is some conceptual looks at what a space like. The other part to this is with where the federal government is moving right now, opportunities in carbon capture, carbon sequestration, AI, especially as it relates to digital and precision agriculture. There's going to be dollars flowing through the infrastructure bill and other bills. And I believe we've got a great opportunity. It's one of the great reasons Dan's group had Congressman Feenstra on a call this morning with several leaders here in the area. We have a unique opportunity coming out of all this to capitalize on what we do really, really well. With that, and I know I went fast, questions from you guys, and I don't know if I can see the screen, if anybody has questions at home that I can answer.
Make a comment.
Yeah.
My son has his movie company, they're silo stock.
Uh-huh.
And he really enjoys that. Computer engineering company, and they give 2 interns a semester. He really enjoys that relationship. The young seem to be computer engineers and projects.
Yeah, so great company, great success story, and I'm gonna tell you, he's there too much. He's there too much. He's there all the time, and that is their kid. That's exactly right.
Hey, Rick, can you repeat the question when it comes from?
Sure. Yeah. So.
Yep.
Steve Dakin just mentioned that his son Andrew owns one of the companies in the park, and how much time they spend there, and how it has benefited them, I believe.
There's a question from Jeff Johnson, if you see that on the chat. If not, I'll just read it off to you here. But as the companies hire employees and bring employees to their businesses, are there any ideas that you have on what % are buying homes or renting apartments and townhouses in Ames specifically, as well as Story County?
Yeah, so I guess I would start by saying not enough. And we don't have the exact percentage, Jeff. We actually have Peter Erasm and his team doing a full deep dive on us of the economic impacts of the park, but part of that would include how many employees of the park actually reside in, we'll call it Central Iowa, but call it County, and maybe Northern Polk, although I tend to draw a line right there at the Polk County line, just south of Huxley, and call it a day. Let's see. Yeah, so a question from Charles Nicker on my comments that were reported in the Des Moines Business Record. So full disclosure. So Des Moines Business Record, and it talked about how some of the things that were happening down at some of the conversations that were occurring down at the State House were having a negative impact on businesses wanting to locate to the area. So I'm on a group called the Capital Crossroads, which is generally business leaders in the Des Moines area, and I happen to be part of that group. And as we were having the conversation, I decided I would do what I do and try to fire up that group to make to their representative or other representatives at the State House and say, hey, let's talk about stuff that is absolutely positive and proactively impactful to the state of Iowa. Let's not spend a lot of time on some of what I consider to be these periphery bills of these hot potato periphery bills. And what I didn't know is there was a report Business Record on on the Zoom meeting that we were having. And so it got reported in the meeting that I said there were 3 companies that were considering locating here that during those conversations now the State House pulled out. 2 of them actually used that as the reason that they were not considering us anymore. I'm happy to report that we've replaced those with several other companies that do. And, that's what happened with the business record.
All right, Chad, we got a question in the room. Carver?
Do you judge the integrity of the companies that want to get in? Do you rate their concept before you let them in?
So we don't worry as much about the concept as we do about the need for a connection with Iowa State University. There are other office with the SBDC, and we office with the Papa John Center, who does do more of a deep dive of the viability of any given company. For us, it's about, do you need the connection and can we help you become viable?
What if their idea is a scam?
Yeah, we try to stay away from scams. We try to stay away from scams.
How do you stay away from?
Well, the research park has had a pretty good track record. I can think of a couple companies through the years, Warren, that located there that maybe didn't end up being the real deal. And the one I'm thinking of primarily wasn't even on the research park ground, it was on the airport ground that a lot of people probably in this room thought it was kind of the real deal and it ended up not being the real deal. We've got a pretty good track record. So for the last 3 years, we've had exactly $0 in bad debt written off. And that would be one of our key indicators of, are we getting in bed with the wrong kind of entities? Question from Barbara Woods. Are there any companies / startups being led by women? So I'm going to go back to my same answer that I gave to Jeff Johnson, and that is not enough. Now, we do see more leadership. In fact, Workiva here in town, which is one of our great success stories as a startup, just named their CFO, Jill Kleint, who is a longtime Ames resident and is now the CFO of Workiva. We were really, really excited about that on a couple levels. One, Jill is just fantastic, but 2, Dan, it's been a few years since we've had any Workiva leadership actually based here in Ames. What, 5 years maybe since we've had any leadership based here in Ames? And it's hard to we are their worldwide headquarters, but it's hard to really feel like a worldwide headquarters if you don't have one of their executive level staff. And then there's several other companies that are that have females in key leadership positions, but again, not enough. We work closely with WISE, which is Women in Science and Engineering over at the ISU campus, and we're constantly looking to draw more women into the entrepreneurial space. Hey, Liz.
Hi, Rick. Focus on agriculture, precision and digital agriculture, and also in technology and AI. How are you folding climate issues into that? And are you looking at any firms to come in here that might be focused on climate change and climate protection?
Yeah, so I guess the answer to the last part is yes, we are. But to go through what is really, really is, I think that there has been overwhelming recognition from industry, but specifically industry that's working in the agricultural space, that sustainable agriculture, and which largely means how it impacts the environment, right, is just part of their business model. I mean, the 2 things that we talk most about now with existing companies and companies that are talking about coming here, and I think it's both great conversations, talk about sustainability. And I would roll carbon capture up into that. I would roll all kinds of things. How can you build a sustainable business model that doesn't negatively impact the environment and still puts us in a position to feed and fuel the world, right? Because that's what we're responsible for here in the Midwest. Second thing we talk a lot about is diversity, equity, inclusion, and what kind of things we can bring to bear, just as Barbara Wood's question just demonstrated, things that we can bring to bear. positively impact that. Now we need to recognize that Ames, Iowa, wonderful, wonderful place, but a lot of us look like me here in Ames, Iowa, right? And we've got to find a way to be more, we got to find a way to draw more who don't think like us, look like us, have the same background and experiences as us, because it makes us all stronger. And for the research park, we will not, I'm going to fall back on my Martin Luther King days. We won't be all we can be until we're making sure that everybody else is being all they can be. And we want to be as diverse as we possibly can be to do that. Environment, yeah, Liz, it's part of the model now. It's baked into the cake that John Deere, Vermeer, company Pivot Bio, which exists largely about its positive impact on the environment. We're having very serious conversations with a company who is at the lead of carbon sequestration and the model that it could look like. We're really trying hard to get them to base their operation here at the research park. And we're having pretty good success, but we'll see if it comes to fruition. Other questions? Let's see if I've got anything else here. Hi, Allison.
I noticed Arco Labs on your one of your slides. They're pretty well established business up in Jewel, and so tell us how you work with someone like that, or what
Yeah, so again, so we're about making connections to Iowa State University. Another good one would be Oakland Corporation, which is a Story City company. We're not interested. So, and I'll go even further than that. Metalcraft is just located with us. There is potential value in having a location students to get to and from, really between classes, that it's not reasonable to go to Jewel, right? And we want to make sure that we have immediate access, that when there's an opening for a guest lecturer at the institution, it's easy to pull them up in there. And so we'll constantly look for those positive kind of relationships to assist our Iowa companies. We want to be somebody who grows the pie. We don't want to just look at trying to take our sliver of the pie. Hi, Jim.
Rick, how many companies do you now have?
Yep.
And where is there a public record that we could check and talk to?
Yeah, so 101 as of this morning. And we do not publish a public record of our companies. We tend to keep our website fairly up to date with who's located in the park. There are a couple reasons for that. Some of our companies are pretty protective of what they're doing, how they're doing it. And so we take the stance, I think sometimes to the frustration, I'm gonna point at Dan again, sometimes to the frustration of Dan Colhane's staff, who wants to rightly talk about all the great things that are going on here locally. They'll ask us for a comment on a new company that's located here, and we'll say, you know what, the company needs to be the one commenting on that. But we're 101 companies, because I thought I might get that question as of this morning. We tend to stay somewhere between 95 and 105 now. It's 800,000 square feet that we have now, but 400,000 of it is multi-tenant kind of spaces where we're moving companies in and out all the time. Anybody else? I started with this and I'll wrap up with this. It is absolutely a great time to be in Ames, Iowa, part of the research park, part of Iowa State University. The world is changing. I mean, it's kind of scary the way the world's changing, but these changes are also opportunities. It gives us a new way to look at the problems that we've known we've had, but we were almost too comfortable to really acknowledge those issues. Now we've been forced in a couple cases to acknowledge those issues, and we've got a great opportunity to deal with it going forward. It is my expectation that the ISU, I know Iowa State University will be part of some of those solutions. I expect the ISU will play a big part of some of those solutions, and Ames, Iowa is in a perfect position to benefit from where we are today. Thank you. Yep.
There's a question from
Oh.
Jeff Johnson on the chat.
Yeah. Let us know when there's a company. So Jeff's question is, what role can we as community members play to assist you and your staff in learning about recruiting and landing company prospects? So Rotary traditionally has been an organization that touts the benefits of what we do here locally, right? This group has had, through the years, you've had so many of the key players when it came to development of our community, but what was going on at Iowa State University. The challenge for this group is to continuously talk about the positives that we have here. Does Ames, Iowa have some issues to deal with? Absolutely. Like every other town, other county, and every other state, right? But we tend to do a better job than most of dealing with it. And one of the great things about being a community member here, and I mean a community member as an individual or a community member as a business, is we tend to take care of our own. We tend to really care about what happens with our neighbor, our house, or our neighbor with our company. We try to put our best foot forward. I would say, Jeff, yeah, you know, I know you're a little shy, and you don't say, when you are talking to people, just remind them what a great place this is. Tom Walsh says, are Research Park companies moving toward use of electric vehicles or new companies supporting EV technology? So yes. So what we do at the Research Park tends to, as we talk about EV vehicles, have 2 charging stations at the core facility at the Research Park. We tend to not specialize in those kind of consumer type vehicles, but when you think of how renewables can impact manufacturing, specifically ag production, we're absolutely working closely in that. And I would say all our companies, I see more and more electric vehicles. You know, you go through any one of our lots at any given time, and there's multiple Teslas and Volts and that can come around. But for us in the park, at least at this point, we don't have any company that's digging in on the consumer side of electric vehicles.
Rick, thank you so much for your time today, joining us. And I hope you didn't feel too uncomfortable having half your audience staring at you through a computer and 30 some people there, hopefully enjoying you in person. But thank you so much. You're always animated, energetic, full of good information about the Research Park, and we appreciate that. We appreciate that. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, everyone. So a reminder, next week, we have Deborah Marquardt joining us. She is the Iowa Poet Laureate. So that will be our program for next week. I would appreciate, and I know Karen would as well, for all of you just to give us some feedback on your experience today. We've already heard what we already knew from Louie, and that was good feedback, is it would be nice for those people who are online to be able to see the room. So we'll work on some camera technology, you know, to enable that. But as an observer here online, I could hear very well. I felt like I was a part of the meeting. I get a thumbs up from John Christie there as well. So we would like feedback, but I think this went very well for our first time. Thank you so much, Karen, for setting this up. And we will be in touch on how this can maybe become more of a regular event. Also, this is being recorded, I believe, just like we promised, to be available also on our YouTube channel for those that could not make either type of commitment. And so with that, let's stand and recite our 4-way test. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendship? And will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Number 5.
Thank you, everyone.